is my custom SB6. Let's get at it. Alright guys, we're going to do something a little bit different today. Today we're going to do more of a bike check than my normal review. In all honesty, it's freaking freezing here in Pittsburgh. We've already had 3 or 4 snowfalls, and to tell you the truth, I haven't really been able to really stretch this bike's legs too much. I feel like you really need a bike park or something a little bit bigger than Pittsburgh or the nearby trails around here. So today we're just going to go through the reasons why I chose this bike and all the parts that I really picked from the ground up. Alright, so you guys might be asking, why a Yeti SB6? Well, it's because it's damn sexy. No, I'm just kidding. Aside from that, you guys know that I have a Santa Cruz 5010. Primarily, that is my trail bike. Cross-country trails, everyday trails, that is my everyday bike. One of the things I wanted to do for the 2017 season is really to be able to go to bike parks more. Another reason I chose an SB6 is because of the geometry difference. This bike is low, long, and slack. This enables me to have as much separation from my trail bike without going into the downhill category. I was also looking for a bike that was more versatile than a downhill bike. And when I mean versatile, I really mean a bike that I felt that I could pedal all day. That being said, after reading a whole bunch of reviews, reading a whole bunch of suspension designs, riding a whole bunch of suspension designs, I really landed on the infinity switch from Yeti. This part right here is basically the soul of the bike. This is what makes this bike very different from the others. This suspension system really allows for really great small bump sensitivity and a supportive mid-stroke, and at the same time it still really gives you a great pedaling platform. Now, what I won't be able to tell you right now is how it descends. Put it through 2, 3, or drops, but nothing really crazy. So until the summer, where I'll probably follow up with you guys again in some bike park somewhere, I'll be able to tell you how this thing really performs. Another reason why I chose the SB6 is honestly because of price. Now you might be thinking, how is that possible? Yetis are primarily more expensive than other bikes out there. What you see here is actually the 2016 frame. This was the last year that they did not have a Turk series. In the 2016 year, all of their carbon fiber was the highest modulus carbon fiber that they had. I believe it's equivalent to the Turk series of 2017. You'll also notice that this 2016 has internal routing versus the 2015 version when they first came out with this bike. Oh, and by the way, I love the flat black stealth look of this bike. Kind of matches my 5010. Now that we spoke about the frame, the second priority was the suspension. This came with a Fox Float X Evol. So far so good. I have no reason to upgrade this right now, especially since I'm not pushing the bike, but I can tell you I'm kind of already thinking of what that rear shock may be come the summer. I would love to hear from you guys on any awesome coil shocks that you might recommend for this. I have some ideas, but I want to hear what you guys think. The second part of the suspension piece is obviously the front fork. This is the Ohlins RXF 36. As the name suggests, it has 36 millimeter stanchions. So this is a pretty beefy fork. It's equivalent to the Fox 36 out there. Now, I chose this fork for a few reasons. One, certainly because it was an Ohlins product. When I've heard that Ohlins were pushing out forks, I was really excited about this brand coming into the mountain biking industry. primarily in forks because I know they've had rear shocks with Specialized before. The second, I love how they're kind of thinking about this. It is a one-piece stereo and crown for added stiffness. Another cool feature of this is that it does not require volume spacers. So all you really have to do is that you actually have to pump up something here on the bottom, and that controls the linear or progressivity of the fork itself. I can tell you that it feels actually very much like a pipe to me. I wouldn't call it better or worse, but again, I really haven't been able to really push this bike as much as I want, but so far those are my first impressions. The third order of business was the wheel set. As you guys know, in my 5010, I have the ibis 741s. I'm a huge fan of ibis wheels. Two reasons, really. One, they were really one of the first companies out there that really went into the wider rim carbon market. That 741 has the same internal width as the 742, which is 35 millimeters, and they also share the same 41 millimeter external width. That being said, they have been bulletproof for me. I have two other friends that have 741s, and we've really put them through hell. I'm talking about bike park riding, I'm talking about Pisgah, I'm talking about Rocky Rudy, everything. And the worst that we've ever seen was one or two bent spokes. They're really highly recommended. Guys, check them out. These are the 742s. Matching up the wide wheel is the Wide Trail Minion DHFs. This is a 2.5 version with a 3C max grip rubber. Super grippy. It's really going to help me with those big mountain rides. Another thing to point out with these ibis 742s is that now they come with Industry 9 torch hubs. This is what they sound like. Some may call that obnoxious, but I love it. The rear is wrapped with Maxxis Minion DHR2s. These are also wide trail with a 2.4 width. These are also 3C. The fourth piece is the drivetrain. I chose an XT 1x11. Now some of you guys might be asking, why didn't I go with a SRAM Eagle? Well, there's several reasons for that. The first is price. It's one thing if you bought an entire bike and it came with an X01 Eagle. That's awesome. That's a great drivetrain. Unfortunately, I had to kind of pick and choose on what part spec components I really wanted to invest in, the fork and the wheel set, and the other components that I could sacrifice a little bit. Not that I would call a Shimano XT a sacrifice, because I actually think this is the best value out there. You get great performance, and now you even have a 46 large cog, which is not exactly like the 50, but it still gives you that massive granny gear. All in all, I chose this drivetrain because of performance and value. Along with the XT drivetrain, I actually chose XT brakes. I really wanted this bike to be the same drivetrain and brakes as my Santa Cruz 5010. This makes an easier transition, I believe, between two bikes. And for those of you guys that know, I am upgrading, finally, the Santa Cruz 5010 with XT brakes. These brakes are supposed to have more modulation than the previous generation. So far, so good. Let's talk about the cockpit a little bit. This one, because of the black stealth look, I wanted to have a little bit of gold in there to kind of match the Ohlins fork. So what else can be carbon and gold? I chose Renthal. This is a 780 wide handlebar, and it's paired with a really stubby 32 millimeter stem. Last, but certainly not least, let's talk about the dropper post. I chose the Raceface Turbine. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, But guys, I don't know why people rave about the RockShox reverb. Is it because it goes in like every single bike out there? Look, my 5010 has a reverb, but I can tell you, please see what else is out there, because honestly, the whole action of this release for this seat post is so much better. It feels so much more natural, and it feels like a shifter. It's very, very similar to the Specialized dropper post. That reverb button, I don't know how that's even ergonomic. I mean, help me out here. Why do people like that? Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm on my second reverb because my first reverb died in the winter. It was too cold and it didn't pop up. Okay, let's talk about finishing touches. The grips are Renthal to match over to the Cockpit. The seat's a WTB Volt, the same as my Santa Cruz. Same reason as I want to make it feel the same. Pedals is a Spank Uzi. Same reason as a 5010. Really, I chose the Renthal grip to just change it up a little bit. I wanted to feel something else out there than the Santa Cruz grip, which are fantastic, by the way. These are pretty good. I'm just not really used to this, this metal piece at the end when you compare it to the Santa Cruz. Because I was a one-bike man, which is a Santa Cruz 5010, it was my all-around. I even brought it to bike parks. This bike, when I first started riding it, like the first 2 or 3 days, I really kind of had a hard time adjusting, and still am adjusting, with the overall length of the bike. Even the slackness of the front fork, I had to really make sure to put more of my weight up front so that I felt like I wasn't washing out. And the conditions right now, obviously there's snow and ice and leaves and shit like that, but it's one of those bikes that, or geometries, that you really have to make sure that you have your weight spread across as well as balanced as you could be. And again, it's the length of the bike. The length of the bike allows you to be more stable at higher speeds, which is exactly why I chose this bike. But it does take a little bit of a learning curve. So far as I ride it in the local trails right here, there is certainly a learning curve that you would have to be aware of. That being said, this bike is a beautiful, beautiful bike. I have to thank Andy from Pathfinder for helping me out building this bike. It took us a few months, really making sure all the parts that we wanted was here, and really making sure everything looked fantastic. If you guys like this video, please comment, question, share, and check me out on Instagram and Facebook. Let's keep in touch. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Huh. This looks pretty complicated. VisiFrame. Okay, we got instructions. We got the little squeegee. Also got some crank guards. And we got a whole 3M sheet of all the cutouts of all the tubes. This will be a lot of work.